It's Hanukkah this week, and on Sunday I saw a donut that looked so good and I'm craving it, so I came to go get one. And I thought it would be the perfect opportunity to not only tell you how you can stop binge eating your favorite foods, but to show you how. This is going to be an exercise that I'm going to do together with you today called systemic habituation. Now, if you're wondering what is systemic habituation, how is it going to help you stop binge eating, and how do you do it, I'm not only going to answer all of that, I'm going to show you in today's video. But first, let's go get that donut. And yeah, I just realized I have marker on my finger because I have children. So, okay, I am so disappointed because they did not have the donuts that were there on Sunday. And the thing is, they did have some donuts, but they're the ones that are available all year round. And I don't really like those donuts. So if I would have gotten that donut just to get a donut, I would not leave feeling satisfied. And then I would probably have that nagging in my brain that makes you crave more things because you're not actually satisfied. And then if this were in my dieting days, I would beat myself up about the fact that I even ate it and that it wasn't worth it and what a waste of calories. And I then feel like I ruined my day and then go find more things to eat and feel absolutely gross, and it would just spiral into an unhealthy place. So this is a really important principle. If you want to stop binge eating, you need to allow yourself to eat the foods you actually enjoy to have that satisfaction factor. Because when you're satisfied, it's easier to respect your fullness. So we're not giving up. I am still getting that donut. I'm actually going to drive to a cafe 15 minutes away that have the best donuts ever, especially this time of year on Hanukkah. They have like a bajillion different types of flavors. I wasn't going to drive there because it's like really far, but now that they don't have it, I'm like, I'm not giving up on this donut, and I want to definitely show you how to do this habituation exercise so that you can stop binge eating on your favorite foods and be able to enjoy them in amounts that feel good. Okay, we made it. There's probably going to be so many donuts to choose from. Oh my gosh, but let me show you what flavors they have. FYI, I promise you, this is not an ad, nor is it sponsored. It's just literally the best place to get your donuts.
As you can see, there were so many different types of flavors, and it kept getting emptied out because people kept coming to take more, so they had to keep refilling it, and it was just so many flavors to choose from.
Okay, we got the goods. It was so hard to choose which flavor, so I ended up going with jelly because that's a classic, and then I got a chalva flavor as well. So right now I'm going to drive home, pause this video, go get your favorite fun food that you feel guilty about eating, stressed about eating. It always triggers out of control eating. It does not have to be donuts. It could be chocolate, pasta, pizza, whatever it is. And come back and we're going to do the systemic habituation exercise together so you could learn how to feel in control when you're around that food and to eat in amounts that feel good. Alright, so let's head home. Okay, I'm home. I'm just going to make myself a quick cup of tea, and then we're going to sit down and do this exercise together. In the meantime, let me know which food did you choose to make peace with and to do this exercise together. Also, is tea like a getting older drink? Because up until 2 months ago, I absolutely hated tea, and now I find it so soothing and relaxing and comforting. FYI tip for those of you who hate piping hot beverages, it's literally my pet peeve. I burn my tongue every time. Just take 2 ice cubes, and it will get to the perfect temperature where it's still hot, but you're not going to burn your tongue. Okay, now let's go make peace with our fun foods. Okay, so we're ready to do this. I am going to go with the jelly donut. Now, before diving into how to do this exercise, let's explain what is systematic habituation. Habituation means the process of reducing the reward response to stimuli by having repeated exposure. Okay, so let's explain this in simple terms. Anytime you experience something for the first time, the reward center in your brain lights up, and it lights up more than the usual. It has a heightened reward response. So for example, think about the first time you put on a new dress. It probably felt so good. You were so excited to put on that new dress, but the more you wear the dress, yes, you still love it, but it's just not the same vibe and excitement as the first time that you're putting on the dress. And that's because you've had repeated exposure by wearing the dress over and over again. And eventually you're going to want to go and buy yourself a new outfit because you're going to get bored of the wardrobe that you have. The same thing happens with food, except when you keep telling yourself that you cannot have foods like donuts or chocolate or pasta or any food that you have food rules around, and you keep saying, I shouldn't have it, I can't have it, it's bad for me, and are sending a mental restriction message to your brain, what you're doing is you're keeping that food in a novel state, which means your brain keeps having a heightened reward response. That's why when you diet, you find that you have even more intense cravings for the foods that you're trying to keep off limits. And that's because you are keeping these foods in a novel state. Even if you've had chocolate a million times, you will have a heightened reward response when you eat it. And that's part of the reason why you have an urgency to eat so many and don't feel satisfied with one. So one of the ways to stop losing control is to reduce this reward response to normal levels. And that's by allowing yourself to eat these foods, but without any of the food guilt or food noise. And there is a process to do this in a way that is effective, in a way that feels safe, called systemic habituation. And that's what we're going to do right now. I will sometimes do this exercise with my clients in session to help make it a little bit less scary to eat the foods that you're scared of or have food rules around, and to give you specific guidance in real time as to what to pay attention to in terms of eating the food and your body. So here's how you do it. First, make a list of all your trigger foods from least triggering to most triggering, or this way, least triggering to most triggering. I recommend starting with the least triggering food. So whatever that is for you, let me know in the comments. Now give yourself some structure and a plan as to when you're going to enjoy it. What time of day is going to give you the opportunity to be the most mindful and present? You can either have it on its own, like I'm doing, or if that feels a little too overwhelming and you're just getting started with this food peacemaking process, you can have it with your meal. So if you're having lunch, have a piece of chocolate with your lunch, or have pasta with your lunch, whatever food it is for you. Now that you know which food you're gonna make peace with and when you're gonna have it, it's time to do a pre-assessment before you actually dive in and eat the food. So number one, assess your hunger levels. If you're overly hungry, the likelihood of you overeating and losing control is much higher because your body is sending out survival mechanisms to get you to eat whatever you can as fast as you can because it's really, really hungry. So before you even start doing an exercise like this, make sure that you're reconnecting to your hunger cues and are eating consistently so your body feels safe. Otherwise, it's going to feel a lot harder to do this successfully. Next, assess if you have any food rules or guilt coming up. And if you do, explore what that is. I know for me, a donut used to make me feel like it's gonna make me gain weight. It has so many calories. It's empty calories because it's not giving me any nutrients and it's just bad and I should not be having it. When you have food noise like that, it is hard to hear what your body is saying. The guilt and the stress shuts off the ability to tune into your body and hear your intuition. And therefore, it is much more likely that you'll override your fullness cues if you're stuck in the food rules and the guilt. So assess if you have any coming up and challenge it. For me today, I have zero worries about having a donut because I know that there's no one food that causes weight gain or weight loss. I know that whatever body size I'm supposed to be at is going to be achieved by focusing on being in tune with my body and nourishing it from a place of self-care. And I know that health is not just about nutrients. And I say this as a registered dietitian. Sustainable health is also learning to enjoy foods without guilt so you have balance in your life, because food is also pleasure and joy and connection and memories and experiences, and you deserve to enjoy all of that. Okay, now we get to the actual eating. I want you to take a moment, smell the food you have in front of you, feel whatever anticipation is coming up for you. Are you excited to eat this? Are you nervous to eat this? Are you hoping it tastes really, really good? What emotions and feelings are coming up for you as you get ready to eat this food? Personally, this smells amazing. Oh my God, I'm so excited to eat this. Now it's time to actually take a bite. Now, as you take the first bite of whatever food it is that you have, really pay attention to the taste, the mouth feel, how it feels when it goes down your throat, how your body's feeling. Okay, ready? Let's go.
Let's take this first bite together and pay attention to how it's tasting, how it feels in your mouth. If it's a food you really like, it's probably really, really good. That first bite is always so delicious, and there's a reason for that. Just take your time and enjoy that first bite.
Now, how was that first bite? Was it delicious? There's no right or wrong answer. Was it as good as you expected? How did it feel in your mouth? Now go ahead, if you want another bite, which you probably do, because like, what's one bite? If you enjoyed it, go ahead and take another bite.
We're basically going to repeat what we just did and take a bite. Pay attention to how it's tasting. Look how good that looks. It's all about taking it slow. Don't rush yourself here and pay attention.
Notice how that second bite is tasting. Notice how your body's feeling, and keep taking another bite, noticing the same thing, the taste, the flavor. So let's go ahead and have another bite. Oh my God, this looks so good. Now, as you're halfway through the snack or the meal, the food that you're eating, pay attention to how your body is feeling now and how the food is tasting. Now, as you're halfway through, just take a note and assess, are the bites that you're having now as tasty as the first bites that you took. It still might be delicious. I definitely want to have more of my donut, but just notice if it's the same excitement and taste level and as delicious as the first bites. This is very subtle, nuanced changes. You might not notice it in the beginning if you're just starting to heal your relationship with food and make peace with food, but it's something that you want to make a practice of where you're paying attention to the taste and any changes that is happening. And FYI, food does usually taste much better when you're hungry for it, and that is your body's brilliant survival mechanism. It is actually motivating you and making food even more pleasurable when you're hungry as a way to push you to eat, because if we wouldn't have that pleasure and we wouldn't have that motivation to eat, we wouldn't seek out food, and then we would quite literally, on an extreme level, die. So your body is super smart for doing that.
Now let's finish our food together bite by bite, each time paying attention to how it's tasting, how it's feeling in your mouth, in your body. And you can pause this video to finish your food at your pace. And remember that if you're doing this for the first time, you might not notice any differences, but it's about creating the habit of paying attention.
Okay, by paying attention to what I'm eating and allowing myself to enjoy it, first of all, I felt like it had just way too much jelly, so I took some out. And I'm at a point where if I eat more, I'm probably going to start not feeling good. And because I'm able to pay attention to my body, because I'm not stuck up in my head about food rules, and I know that I can have this donut another time, maybe not this specific donut, but I know that donuts are allowed, I'm able to stop at a point where I still feel good. Now, by the way, it's not wrong if you finished your whole donut or your whole pizza, or even if you want like another serving, right? The point is to learn how to pay attention to what you're eating and really tune into your body, because chances are if you keep doing this, you're not going to want to have donuts all day. You're not going to want to have pizza all day because you're going to feel awful. And through being in touch with your body, you can more naturally stop and respect your fullness and eat in amounts that feel good and stop being scared of these kinds of foods. Okay, don't go anywhere, because now we have the post-assessment of this exercise. Ask yourself, did it meet your expectations? Was it as good as you thought it would be? And if you can eat it again, would you eat it again? And is there anything else that came up for you that was interesting? Approach this whole exercise with curiosity. Now, the key here is repeated exposure. So if you stress out about this food and you still lose control when you're eating it in an uncontrolled setting where you're not making a plan like we just did, continue doing this exercise even daily until you feel like it's no longer this food on a pedestal and it's just another food to enjoy, which I promise you will happen if you give it enough time. Usually with clients, I find when they do this exercise, it takes them about a week to habituate to one certain food. And what's really important that I haven't mentioned until now, whatever food it is that you choose to make peace with and habituate to one at a time, make sure that it's the same and as similar as much as possible. So for example, if I were doing a jelly donut, I would not switch it up with a halva donut, a custard donut. I would do my best to keep it to a jelly donut every time. Otherwise, you're switching up the food to some level, and then we have new novelty. So if you're choosing chocolate, choose the same kind of chocolate. If you're choosing pizza, do the same kind of pizza. Once you feel safe with this food, now you practice this exercise with the new food. You will not need to do this for every single food under the planet. At some point, your body and brain will sync up and realize, hey, we can trust ourselves with any food. You'll have enough evidence and experience to prove that to yourself, to your body, and to your mind. So try this exercise at home. If you watch this without getting the food, go get that food that you want to make peace with, come back, rewind this video, watch it again. In fact, come back, rewind this video, and do it multiple times if you need that step-by-step guidance. And if you need a little bit more help in personalizing and internalizing this, I do have a free guide that walks you through this process as well, called 3 Steps to Stop Feeling Out of Control with Food. I'm going to link it for you in the description. You can go ahead and get that. And if you want to take it a step further, print out that guide, bring your fun food, and watch this video to do this exercise with me again. Always love to hear from you. What's your feedback? What has your experience been? If you tried this exercise, how did it go? What went well? Are you still struggling? What questions or struggles do you have that you would love for me to address in a future video? And if you find this video helpful, remember to like and subscribe so you don't miss any future videos, and share this with a loved one, with a friend, with a family member who you know would find it helpful, who has shared with you, oh, I just lose control every time. I have no willpower. I have no self-discipline. That couldn't be farther from the truth. And this video is going to help them understand how they can make peace with food without beating themselves up about it. And it's totally possible. And it really just breaks down the process step by step so they don't feel overwhelmed. Cheers, and I'll see you in the next video.